Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, June 23rd, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 275 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day again brings us to Massachusetts for another late night of legislative action, with the state Senate this time staying up late last night to finish up a vote on their version of a bill reforming the adult use marijuana system passed by voters in the fall. I've reported on this story extensively, with the State House recently passing their much more restrictive and tax-heavy version. The state Senate's vote came just before 10 p.m. Eastern Standard late last night and landed 35-5 in favor. The Senate's version keeps the sales tax rate at the 12% passed by voters in the fall, compared to 28% as mandated by the House version, and gives the power of denying marijuana business licenses over to the voters rather than to the town and city councils that the House version defers to. Now that both versions have passed, a compromise committee will be formed with the goal of hammering out a version that both chambers can live with. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do, and we'll be following along as things progress. Yesterday, Vermont Governor Phil Scott said that he would appoint a commission to study the idea of legalizing adult use marijuana. Governor Scott said the commission would look at how the state could legalize marijuana while keeping the public safe with a good set of rules and regulations. This is another issue I've reported on a number of occasions over the past few months, with the State House most recently shutting down the chances of passing legislatively imposed legalization this year. The commission Governor Scott is setting up is similar to the one that was written into the compromise bill that was being passed around between the governor's office and state lawmakers as they worked to find a compromise. The governor has not said who will be appointed to the commission or even how many members it will have. This is another one we'll obviously be tracking. There must have been something in the air yesterday, because the state of Rhode Island also announced that it would be forming a commission to study the idea of legalizing adult use marijuana after giving up on the idea of doing it via the legislative process. Yesterday, the state Senate voted on a measure setting up the commission to study adult use marijuana a week after lawmakers in the state House did the same. If signed into law, Rhode Island's commission will be made up of 19 members who will study the impacts that legalizing adult use marijuana would have on the state's finances as well as public health and safety. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our weekly show, Marijuana Today, and the MJ Today Media newsfeed, the email newsletter that puts all the day's industry headlines in your inbox every morning, neatly organized by state. If you have a legal marijuana marketing budget that you need to deploy in a super smart way, then you need to email advertising@mjtodaydaily.com to get a copy of our ad kit and to hear more about reaching our best in the industry audience. And if you're close to having a marketing budget to spend, or maybe just have a smaller line item for marketing, then you really need to sign up as a member of our Century Club, those patron listeners giving at the $100 a month level and higher. Here's why. For your monthly $100 contribution, you get $200 a month back in ad credit that never expires and that can be transferred freely to friends and colleagues. Think about it this way. Every month that you're not a member of the Century Club is $100 in free ad credit that you're leaving on the table. If you know you'll be ready to start advertising to our audience in a year, then join up as a member of the Century Club today, and you'll have $2,400 in ad credit just waiting for you this time next year. It's the smartest call in marijuana marketing. To join up as a member of the Century Club and to get your $200 a month in ad credits, just open up mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. Then sign up at the $100 level and higher. That's mjtodaydaily.com, big blue button. All right, time for the Blitz. Tom Angel over MassRoots has a good piece up about a letter written and delivered this week to President Trump from members of the Congressional Black Caucus rejecting his invitation to meet. One of the reasons stated for the CBC's rejection of Trump's invitation is his stated desire to ramp up the war on drugs, which has been shown to disproportionately impact Black communities. The letter says, in part, quote, "In a 2-page document, your Attorney General issued guidance to federal prosecutors to accelerate the failed war on drugs that will continue to wreck the Black community and exacerbate our nation's shameful scourge of mass incarceration." Unquote. It's a Tom Angel heavy day today, as our next story was crafted by the activist/journalist, this time in his capacity as head of the reform group Marijuana Majority, which commissioned a study that was released yesterday showing that 68% of American adults want President Trump to respect state legal marijuana laws. The survey was conducted with 1,500 adults and has a margin of error of plus or minus 1.7%. And keeping on the Tom Angel train for just one more headline, we have a story by the Washington Post's Christopher Ingraham, who picked up on one particular question in that survey that was conducted by Marijuana Majority. Quote, should journalists be able to use marijuana in states where it is legal to do so, or should newspapers punish journalists who use marijuana? Unquote. The question was included in the survey because the issue of drug testing members of the media bugged Tom, and he wanted to see what the public thought about it. According to the survey's results, 50% of those polled think that journalists should be free to use marijuana in states where it's legal to do so, with 35% saying they should be punished for it. This is a good one to click over and read in full. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Bloomberg has a good story up that has nothing to do with Tom Angel. Instead, it looks at the problem Canada could be facing with a shortage of marijuana supply as it faces down legalizing adult use marijuana by next summer. One government official who recently spoke at a meeting between federal and provincial finance ministers said that with demand already high for cannabis within the country, the biggest challenge they face is ensuring a steady supply as legal sales spool up by next July. Ontario's Finance Minister Charles Sousa said, quote, we want to make certain that when we do proceed, there is sufficient supply to accommodate the activity because what we're trying to do is curb the illicit use and organized crime that now exist around it, unquote. Even as a judge has muddied the marijuana waters in November in terms of their planned early rollout of adult use sales via medical shops, dispensaries in that state say they plan to go ahead and sell whatever adult use stock they have on hand come July 1st. The state's smooth early start to adult use sales has been put in jeopardy by a lawsuit filed by the state's alcohol distributors, who are upset that their legislatively imposed 18-month monopoly on distributing legal marijuana did not apply during the early opening phase. This is a good article to click over to read, as the story is not a simple one. Earlier this year, I reported on a case in Michigan where a police officer, responding to a call about a reported break-in, jumped over a fence into the yard of a house where medical marijuana was being grown and landed on a sheet of plywood studded with more than 100 3-inch screws set pointy side up as a security measure. The police officer sustained major injuries to both his feet upon landing on the screws, which had been placed there as a security measure. Yesterday, the medical marijuana caregiver responsible for that grow house was placed on probation for having 15 plants more than the 72-plant statewide limit. No charges were filed for the incident involving the screws because no state law could be found that was applicable. And finally for today, congratulations to marijuana activist Mason Tvert for his recent jump into the private sector with a new job at VS Strategies, a well-known and respected marijuana industry consultancy associated with cannabis law firm Vicente Cederberg, who, in full disclosure, we have a tie to here via Andrew Livingston, a regular on our weekly show Marijuana Today. Mason is best known for his work in Colorado in passing Amendment 64, which legalized adult use marijuana back in 2012, and will be joining VS Strategies next month as their VP of Public Relations and Communications. He's leaving his position at the Marijuana Policy Project to do so. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Monday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with Marijuana Today.
One take, Shay. One take.